What's up everybody, Tony here for an S-Cells infused edition of Super Saiyan Review Super Saiyan. Today we're looking at episode 118 of Dragon Ball Super titled Accelerating Drama, a Universe Vanishes. Whoa dude, whoa. Spoilers. Japan don't give a damn about spoiler culture. Anyways, with Goku still recovering his stamina, our focus continues to be on other fighters on the battlefield this week like Gohan and Piccolo. Will a universe vanish like the title of this episode implies? Well, let's get into that recap and find out. The citizens of Universe 2 look on in horror as their final three warriors all take on Goku at once. Goku is still recovering his stamina, but is still briefly able to go Super Saiyan Blue just to hold them off. But while Universe 2 has 3 fighters left, Universe 6 only has 2. Saonel and Pillna, the 2 Universe 6 Namekians, currently are fighting for survival as they take on Gohan and Piccolo. Saonel and Pillna appear to power up and manage to land blows on Gohan and Piccolo before the two could even react. Meanwhile, the 3 Universe 2 fighters feel the love from their universe and begin to power up and undergo a Sailor Moon-esque transformation much like Ribrianne's. It looked super dumb, but it did make me laugh. 17 and 18 are not amused and decide to join Goku in the fight, so now it's an even 3 versus 3. We return to the other fight to learn the secret behind Saonel and Pillna's increased power. To prepare for the tournament, they decided to fuse with every Namekian on their planet Namek. As a result, they are incredibly powerful. They've been saving their strength until late in the tournament, and now it's time to go all out. Gohan powers up into his mystic form to combat the Namekians. He's going to take on both of them while Piccolo charges up a Makanko Sappo. Piccolo fires at Pillna, but it wasn't enough. The cannon bounces off Pillna and he fires a massive blast at Piccolo. Piccolo appears to be dead, and we get this really interesting visual of Kami and Nail standing alongside him. Gohan managed to deflect the blast at the very last moment, and once again decides to take on both Namekians as Piccolo charges up another Makanko Sappo. Meanwhile, the 3 Universe 2 dudes start powering up a giant heart-shaped attack, and manage to pin down 17, 18, and Goku. But in classic Goku fashion, he powers up to Super Saiyan Blue, and shoots a Kamehameha through the move. At the same time, Gohan shoots a Kamehameha at the Universe 6 Namekians. It leads to Piccolo being able to fully charge the Makanko Sappo and blast it at both Saonel and Pillna. Simultaneously, the 3 warriors from Universe 2 and the Namekians from Universe 6 are eliminated. After saying their goodbyes, Universe 2 and Universe 6 are erased. The episode ends with 13 minutes remaining in the Tournament of Power. In the next episode preview, we see Universe 7 take on Universe 4, and it looks like their trump card this entire time was the ability to fight while invisible. Oh no. Okay, so I have a lot to say about this episode, so let's get right into those overall impressions. The Dragon Ball fanbase seems to be fairly split when it comes to this episode. Some loved it, and some not so much. I think I hated this episode, and I'm gonna get into exactly why I hated this episode, but in short, 118 contains so many of the things that I feel like Dragon Ball Super has struggled with since the series began. Dragon Ball Super has always had a pacing issue, and I feel like 118 is a textbook example of this poor pacing. While Dragon Ball Z sometimes felt slow and bogged down by filler since it was adapting a weekly manga, Super has the opposite problem. On many occasions, the scenes, the moments, the characters, they aren't really given a chance to breathe. Everything happens so quickly, and as a result, nothing feels important. When an episode concludes, it feels like nothing matters. It's not memorable. There is a lack of impact and big, weighty moments because there's no build-up. And Super has definitely proven that it can pace their fights and moments well. While it wasn't perfect by any means, the Goku vs. Caulifla fight lasted for 4 episodes, and it all built up to one incredible moment that the fanbase is still talking about. Build up, build up, build up, and payoff. They pulled it off wonderfully. Now let's contrast that with episode 118 and how Super handled the Universe 6 Namekians, Saonel and Pillna. While we knew of their existence for a while, their fight in the actual Tournament of Power began in episode 111, when they took on Gohan and Piccolo. Since then, it's almost been a running gag that every episode we'd cut to their fight for about 20 seconds, nothing of note really happens, and then we just return to the main focus of the episode. I gave this stuff a pass because I always assumed that the fight would get the focus it deserved at some point. Well, I was frickin' wrong. I was really wrong. I feel like I had every reason to believe that Saonel and Pillna would be treated as important characters in the Tournament of Power. Since the beginning of the series, Universe 6 was presented as the most important and focused on universe, other than 7 of course. We've gotten to know Hit, Champa, and Kaba really well over the course of the series. With the Tournament of Power, we were introduced to 2 more Saiyans from Universe 6, Caulifla and Kale. And as you'd expect, since they are Saiyans after all, they ended up playing a huge role in the Tournament of Power. So the relationship between the viewer and Universe 6 as a whole continued to grow. So when you looked at the Tournament of Power roster at the beginning of this arc, who stood out for you? I know who stood out for me. The frickin' Universe 6 Namekians. Besides Saiyans, Namekians are clearly the most important and featured alien race in all of Dragon Ball. The first great villain in Dragon Ball was a Namekian. One of our main characters is a Namekian. So when we found out that there would be more Namekians, just like when we found out there would be more Saiyans, my automatic response was, wow, that's great. I'm looking forward to seeing these guys in action. Let's see what they do. By making these characters Namekians, a race that the average viewer recognizes, you create base expectations. Expectations that wouldn't be there for, say, these 3 guys from Universe 2. I mean, why not just make them some generic new race if you're not going to do anything important with them? They even went out of their way every week to straight up tease us with these 20-second cutaways to Gohan and Piccolo taking on the Namekians. It's only natural to expect all of these moments to be, building up to something. But no, I was wrong. Saonel and Pillna, the final survivors of Universe 6, the universe many viewers have come to love and become attached to over the course of the series, had about half an episode of screen time before being dispatched, along with the rest of their universe. Universe 6 goes out not with a bang, but with a whimper. They couldn't even get a full episode's focus because they had to share the climax with these jabronis from Universe 2. As I mentioned earlier, the events of this episode happened so quickly that when it was all said and done, nothing had a chance to breathe, and as a result, the whole episode felt weak. This is magnified by the fact that this is the climax and ending to the entire Universe 6 story for the Tournament of Power arc. The fight begins, we find out the Namekians have been holding back their true power for the end of the tournament, so they power up, overwhelming Gohan and Piccolo. We learn that the Namekians have fused with their entire race in order to power up for this tournament. Gohan tries to fight them off by going Mystic, and buys time for Piccolo to fully charge a Makanko Sappo, which can eliminate them from the tournament. Piccolo fires a Makanko Sappo, but it fails. Gohan attempts the exact same plan again, and Piccolo charges another Makanko Sappo. This is all one episode. Piccolo manages to fully charge the Makanko Sappo, and this time it works, and he nails both Namekians, eliminating both of them in one shot. Bye bye Universe 6. I'm no professional writer, but I did have 2 ideas in mind that I think could have really helped this plotline that I feel was so mishandled. First of all, remember all those cutaways to the Universe 6 Namekians? The 20-second clips we got each week that had no real purpose other than reminding the audience that these characters exist? Well, guess what? They didn't have to be useless. It didn't just need to be them fighting and nothing of note happening. Why not have one episode where the Namekians power up? It would leave the viewer thinking, wow, how did they get so powerful? I want to see what happens next. And then the next episode, when we check in on them again, we find out that they fused with their entire race. Wow, Namekian fusion, that's a really powerful technique. I watched Dragon Ball Z. These Namekians are the real deal. I want to see what happens next. Piccolo charges up a Makanko Sappo. And then we cut to the cauliflower fight with Goku. Simultaneous storytelling in a battle royale tournament with a bunch of characters fighting all at once. Super seems incapable of grasping such a concept. My second idea would just be better narrative structure, and this one also applies to the Universe 2 subplot of the episode. Does it make much sense to have Universe 2 come to an end with Goku taking out these three geeks? I wonder how many of you watching this even know these characters' names. In much the same way, it just doesn't make much sense structurally to have the two Namekians be the end of Universe 6. The fight against Kafla and the fight against Ribrianne for Universe 6 and 2 respectively felt like the final boss fight for each universe. They both ended with an awesome finishing move. That's how I'd expect something as drastic as an entire universe being erased to play itself out in a show like Dragon Ball. They went out with a bang. If I had to sum up episode 118, it would be going out with a whimper. 5 geeks who never felt important, completely anticlimactic compared to the last couple of episodes. If the Namekians and the 3 Universe 2 fighters were eliminated on the side, while the main focus of the episodes were on Kafla and Ribrianne, I don't think we'd be having this conversation right now. This all leads right to the scene that has been getting the most praise in this episode, the ending. I thought the ending to this episode was really emotional and well done, but it was also no thanks to the events of this episode. The erasure of Universe 6 hits the audience because of how we've grown to love them over the course of the entire series, from the first Universe 6 tournament arc all the way until now. We've spent more time with them than any other universe, and we've gotten to know these characters. We've gotten to know their personalities and their aspirations. We met a new rival for Goku, a new apprentice for Vegeta, and the first female Super Saiyans as well. Even Champa has been really entertaining, and that little scene between him and Beerus was really touching at the end. So I come out of this episode more disappointed than anything. It could have been so much better. Now, to end this episode on a more positive note, Tate was the animation supervisor for this week's episode, and I think it was a really smart choice. Considering how awesome his work is in One Piece, I'm sure when they realized this episode would have lots of elastic and stretchy limbs, they realized Tate would be the man for the job, and it looked really good. His wavy style looks a little odd sometimes in Dragon Ball, but for the Namekian characters, it was right on. And it even made some of Gohan's punches look completely ferocious in this episode. It was definitely great. Overall though, I can't give this episode anything more than a 2 out of 5. They failed to deliver with a satisfying conclusion to both Universe 6 and Universe 2's involvement in the Tournament of Power, and the Universe 6 Namekian subplot as a whole. These characters could have offered so much more to the story, and they came off in the end like unimportant geeks. A touching ending and great animation was not enough to overcome these shortcomings to me. Okay, I need to take a deep breath. These children's cartoons get me all worked up sometimes. As always, thanks so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this review, please hit that like and subscribe button. But first, I want to hear from you. Did you hate this episode as much as I did? Or did you love it? Or do you land somewhere in between? Let me know in the comments below, and let me know why you feel that way. Maybe you could convince me that this episode wasn't as bad as I thought. That would be really nice. Next week, we'll be reviewing episode 119 of Dragon Ball Super, titled Unavoidable: The Fury of a Stealth Attack. Until then, thanks for watching everyone, and take care.